Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting for Tuesday, May 21st. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First off, I'd like to welcome our newest member of the Board of Selectmen, Mark Reel. For those of you that didn't know, he was just elected in the past election, and this is his first Selectmen's meeting. So if everybody would please give Mark a round of applause for his winning the vote.
Thank you.
Secondly, I'd like to thank a couple of members of the audience that were here early that helped us bring the air conditioners down to all the offices downstairs. Thank you so much. So the first item on the agenda is to discuss and vote on a new BOS chairman. If you've listened to Ed Thompson, apparently it's already been done, but
Well, I'll make a motion.
go right ahead.
I move to elect Lonnie Tinio as chairman of the Board of Selectmen. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. We do have a few minutes before the hearing opens. Given the past election, we were unable to pass the vote for funding for the town administrator's office to fund a new employee for that office. So I think that, usually once we change the chair, we kind of sit around, the chair would discuss what the objectives and goals are going to be for the upcoming year. One, I'm sure, will be the budget, as we are still in a repair process on the budget, but heading in a really good direction. I don't really have a full set of goals yet. I probably will by the next meeting. I had taken some time to kind of just take a deep breath and reset here to figure out how we're going to move forward, especially with that position. So we still have some discussion left to do on that, but if I had to pick one main goal, it will be to take care of that position during this upcoming year. So I'll have a more focused set at the next meeting for you, but right now those would probably be the two highest priority areas. I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that at this point.
Well, I mean, I like the idea of maybe setting a manageable number of goals for ourselves for the board coming year. I mean, I think town coordinator is near and dear to my heart. I think we need to do it. What I also think is, to your point on the budget, is we've gotten to a point where I think the process is such that maybe we can start focusing maybe not off the budget, but onto other things besides the budget, because I think the finances have sort of been, first and foremost for most of our discussions and our planning. But, one thing that's, for me, is looking at, active recreation, trying to identify as an opportunity to develop some field space for the local sports organizations, regionalization, of course, or shared services is always out there. And of course, the Taft Orchard property. Moving forward on completing the first wave, maybe look at a next step on the remaining parcels and things of that nature.
There's also another big item that we need to probably look at is cemetery space. We're really running short on that. It's been a concern for some years. I did see some, possibly an email or some discussion from Gary Smith. I know that they had been working on that piece that's up in the back. It's just a little difficult to get to, that's up behind Varney's Field. I think that was a piece that he was discussing. It's an existing cemetery that we can expand upon. We just have to find a way to get up to it. Secondly, there was just on the cemetery subject, there's a small cemetery that's in the back of a piece of commercial property here in Mendon, down on Route 16, and it's a small mound with maybe 4 plots in it. It was the Maury Cemetery down past Maury Street. Originally, we had discussed that with the family, and they were okay with finding a way to relocate, if you will, the plots. So once we have if we can get through that first cemetery piece, we might be able to finalize that as well. Again, obviously not one of the huge priorities, but definitely something to keep in mind.
You know, if I may, I also want to welcome Mark to the board, but I also want to take a minute and, you know, thank Mike Mandalia for the time he served on the board. I think we all know he's been serving in different capacities for a number of years, and, you know, I've only served with Mike for a couple of years, but I'd say there's 2 things I learned. One, he's a man of his convictions, and 2, he puts town first, so just wanted to thank him for the time he served. And my sense is he'd probably keep serving in different capacities. I don't think he's going to step away completely.
As I'm sure a lot of you may know, that Mike's been on the Conservation Committee for 20 years, and also served on the Finance Committee for a number of years. He brought a lot of experience to the table, and that will be missed here. But I'm sure if there's something that he wants to voice his opinion about, he will be here to discuss it. Thank you again, Mike. We can, do you want to set some meeting dates while I know it's kind of out of order, but.
Sure.
So we've got, what do you got for next Monday? The 27th? Oh, that's Memorial Day. We have the 3rd of June, which...
The 3rd, we've got the Milford presentation.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 3rd will be a meeting at the Milford Town Hall in regards to the casino hearing for the proposed casino in Milford. We could do, you want to do the 4th? Which it's a Tuesday, but.
Yep.
4th works?
Yep.
We're also, we talked about maybe moving the time up for the meetings. Like to make sure that we get that posted on the website. People are used to the 7:30 start time, so, but I think it would be beneficial for a lot of folks if we could start maybe at 6 or 6:30. That works for you. Does that work for you guys? 7 better?
7's better.
7? All right.
And do you want to try to get back on that every other week schedule?
I think so. I think that would work great. So Mendon BOS.
And jump back to Mondays, maybe the 4th, the 17th, and then that takes us into July 1st.
Yeah, now that's going to be the 4th. How's the 4th of July weekend going to probably start on the 4th and then go?
Yep.
So we could meet that Monday. Is everybody, nobody's going away?
On that Monday. So the 1st, the 15th, and the 29th, and we'll go from there.
Sure.
Story of my life.
So this, sorry. The 21st, no, is that what you said?
We got the 4th, June 4th, right?
Yeah.
What about May? Yeah, the 21st.
4th. Well, today's 21st.
Oh.
Right. So that's today. So I agree. We're meeting on the 21st. I think we got the 4th, the 17th, and then the 1st, 15th, and 29th.
You remember you've got the dog hearing the 29th, right?
Yep.
1st to 15th. All right.
And we'll see how 7 o'clock works, right? To start?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that works for me. Just means we'll be home by 10 instead of 10:30.
Talk about the term.
Are the Lamberts here? No. We can just, we probably can do the hawkers and peddlers license for the Lamberts real quick if we have that.
I don't think I have that.
Is that just a renewal?
Yes, and then, Greg said he was going to come in last week, deal with taxes, and
Yep.
we needed his renewal fee, and he hasn't been in yet, so I don't know if I put that as a suggested motion pending.
Do you have a motion for that?
No, no motion.
Well, yeah, we can just make a motion to renew it.
Piece of paper?
No, I had some forms, I thought.
We waiting on a payment for this?
Yeah, just pending
Okay.
payment of taxes.
Is that the same as, say, pending the routing slip approval?
Say it again?
Pending routing slip approval? Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the hawkers and peddlers license for Lambert's Flowers, 1 Cape Road, pending receipt of taxes, filing fee, and a positive routing slip.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous? Unanimous. Oh my God. George is trying to kill time. Oh, we can actually. I didn't know he was here for that. Close it.
We're good to go?
Yeah.
Okay. I move to open the hearing to consider a new general on-premises wine and malt beverage only alcohol license by ATLK LLC, doing business as Deluxe Pizza at 32 Hastings Street, Suites 112 and 113.
Second?
Motion's been made to open the hearing for Deluxe Pizza's on-premise beer and wine license. Any discussion? Sorry, this needs to be read for discussion.
You want to read? You want to read?
Yep.
Legal notice of a public hearing, Town of Mendon. The Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing in the Upper Town Hall, 20 Main Street, Mendon, Mass. on the 21st day of the month of May 2013 at 7:45 p.m. to consider the application for a new general on-premises wine and malt beverages only alcohol license by ATLK LLC, doing business as Deluxe Pizza at 32 Hastings Street, Suites 112 and 113, Mendon, Mass. 01756.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So you guys looking to get a beer and wine license?
Right.
At Deluxe Pizza?
Right.
Yeah, you got the floor.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Joseph Antonellis from Milford on behalf of the applicant. To my left is Chris Koutramanos, who is the owner of Deluxe Pizza, who is the principal on the application. And to my right is Emmanuel Dimatrolis, who is the named manager in our application, happens to be Chris's brother-in-law, so it's a family affair. Chris is the owner-operator, and Emmanuel is there on a regular basis, 40, 50 hours a week already. The application is solely for a beer and wine license on premises at Deluxe Pizza, which I think you're all familiar with, located in the plaza just up the street. The building itself, I think, has excellent visibility. You'll note that the front of the building, their particular unit is open. There's all windows. There's very, very little clutter in the windows. The inside of it is very open. There is not any significant renovations that will take place to the premises. It'll, again, as I said, be just really the installation of a couple of taps for the distribution of the beer, and they'll have a few bottles of wine in storage. We don't expect a lot of startup costs in that regard. The business is very successful as it is. However, Chris has noted over the years that people have always come in and said they'd like to come in sometimes with the family and stay and have the opportunity to have a beer or wine on the premises. So that's basically the application. I believe that we filled the application out properly with all of the necessary information. I have submitted both personal information forms and query forms for both of the two principals, Chris obviously as the owner and Emmanuel as the manager under requirement. I'd like to take this opportunity. I recognize that your town hall is short-staffed, but in my filing of this application, I had to deal with two departments here. The Board of Assessors and Jean, and obviously with Diane, it's the selectmen. And in the rare circumstances when I do this, and I think you know I do a lot of municipal work in a multitude of towns, I'm usually picking up the phone, calling, asking when things are ready. That was not the case. Jean called me like within 2 days and says, come pick your abutters list up, Joe, it's ready. And Diane was terrific because I forgot to have Chris sign one of the applications. She told me what time to have him come in. She was very, very responsive in the application. I think it's good for your board to know that because you do. I recognize the issues with not having a town manager and the facility that offers for town. So I just want to say that while I'm here, it's always a pleasure to deal with your town hall staff, and it was in this particular case. Both Chris and Emmanuel are here to answer any questions. I really don't think there's a whole lot to say. I don't mean to be remiss in not providing you enough information, but there's no renovations. The building is well inspected, well lit. There's good traffic patterns outside, and you have two people that have invested a lot of time and effort in building a business in Mendon who obviously are going to want to maintain the integrity of the business that's there. I think you could look for them to be outstanding operators under the circumstances. They know they're going to have to get the TIF certifications for the service of alcohol. They also know they're going to have liquor liability insurance in place, along with all of the other requirements, and they also know that this is only the first step in the process, that if this board is inclined to grant the application, we know that it'll be sent off to the ABCC for further review and investigations, etc., and we're prepared. We make the application without any worries about anything in the past. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll stop and see if there are any questions of you or the board, and as I said, Chris and Emmanuel are both here to answer any questions.
I don't have any questions. I know both of the applicants. They've been in business in town for a very long time, and I know the business very well, so I have no concerns. I did have one resident, a butter, contact me, and it was Mr. Ferrucci, and he has stated that he is unable to make it this evening, but is in favor of an approval on this, so I just wanted to make that note. Other than that, unless you guys have any questions, I don't have anything further.
No, I'm good. I'm a frequent customer.
Is there anybody in the audience that has any questions or concerns in regards to the application? With that, I'll accept a motion to close the hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I move to close the hearing to consider a new general on-premise wine and malt beverage only alcohol license by ATLK LLC, doing business as Deluxe Pizza at 32 Hastings Streets, Suites 112 and 113.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded to close the hearing for the Deluxe Pizza on-premise wine and malt beverage application. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. We will, now we'll just give us a moment. I'm sure we have another motion to approve this, to move it on to the next
We
level.
do. Right here.
It's odd.
I move to grant a new general on-premise wine and malt beverage only alcohol license to ATLK LLC, doing business as Deluxe Pizza at 32 Hastings Street, Suites 112 and 113.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the Deluxe Pizza wine and malt beverage to be drunk on premise application. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for your
Good luck.
help. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Night.
Please return these to me. Do we need to sign these?
There's a Form 43, and then if you want to sign the actual license, it should be in the folder that says original.
The folder that says original. The folder.
Is there another folder that I left? Or maybe it didn't. Maybe it
That
didn't
was
come
me.
up.
That was me.
Okay. Here, Mike, just put those over there when you...
It doesn't have, that doesn't have to be done.
Okay. Do you want these back? You have notes on them. You want them back?
It says to return them.
The whole pack, I'll need to take the pack.
All right.
Because I need copies of everything to be CC.
Take what you need.
Just leave everything.
Okay, all
together.
right. I'll bring it all to you after. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is to discuss the term expiration for the Taft Library Building Committee and future use of the rectory. Anybody that's here for that, come on up. Come on down. Good evening.
Good evening. Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you.
I think the first item was to discuss the term expiration for the Taft Library Building Committee. I think everybody was kind of looking to extend that.
We were hoping to get that continued through the duration of the project. We polled the committee members. Everyone expressed interest in staying on the committee through the duration of the project, so we thought it would help us in the town if we could just get reappointed in July, and that would carry through till the project was over and complete.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. Anybody that wants to help out and stay on is, in my book, stay right on. We can just change the name of the committee after, and you can do something else.
We'll cross that bridge later when we come to that, okay?
It'd be the Town Managers Committee, you all to do the town manager. I don't have a problem with it. I would be happy to reappoint you. When we created the committee, did we put an expiration date on the committee or just on the term when we appointed everybody? Because that would just make a difference if we had to make a decision on, make a change on that now. Or we can just make a simple motion that we would extend the term of the committee to run concurrent with the redevelopment of the facility. So moved works on that.
So moved. So moved.
Second?
A motion's been made and seconded to extend the Taft Library Building Committee term to end at the completion of the renovations of the St. Michael's facility. All those in favor?
Aye.
More discussion? Sorry. I'm sorry.
Just a question. Why don't we just do this in the normal cycle with the other committees?
Understood. We're going to do that for each individual appointment.
Okay.
This was just that I believe we had set a term limit on the actual physical committee.
Right. For a
And
year.
all I'm saying is that we'll just extend the actual committee to continue, and the appointments we'll do individually with everybody else.
Margaret did suggest that, I think she checked with the state, that she can have their terms end when the project is completed, as opposed to having it end when everybody else is in. That way, every year, you don't have to come back and revisit that committee.
Okay.
Everyone figures they'll be around for a few years, so.
Okay, well, when we'll do that, we'll do that in the regular appointments. We'll just make that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next item is the future use of the rectory. I know that we've had some items, sorry, I saw some emails, and I know there's been some discussion in regards to possibly if we could get the blessing of the police department, if it works for their needs, that we might be able to relocate them, instead of those trailers, up there for that, whatever's in those trailers, and then we can get rid of the trailers.
Which certainly makes sense. I talked to Rich Schofield about that today, and he's going to try to set up a meeting next week where we'll go up with Chief Horn, show him around the property there and see what kind of thoughts he has for it. We also had some thoughts along that line of, and it was an email we sent to the committee earlier this week, as to what can be done in the building in the meantime. We understand that there's a there's a special vandalism policy on that building, and as that building right now sits, it's vacant, it's not being used. You know, what services are required in that building? We were looking for some clarifications on that. What needs to be done between now and when construction starts. We don't want to go spending money on that if we can help it. You know, money that, you know, things that could be quite possibly be ripped out when construction starts down there. We don't want to be spending good money after bad. So we were looking to try and get some clarification on that.
Were we able to get the clarification?
No, I sent it to town council and I haven't heard back yet.
We haven't heard back yet.
Okay.
The only concern that I think that, the only item I think that would be of a concern, and again, we can wait for town council, I think is just the fire alarm. Would probably be the only one. You know, anything else, like you said, it's under construction. I can't, I guess we'll wait for town council, but I don't.
That's why we wanted to raise the issue for you, so everyone was aware about it and what the best way was to address it.
Yeah, I can't think of any application that I've been in a renovation project where, you know, they said, like you said, you were possibly ripping everything out, that you would need to have running water or things along those lines. I know that was one of the items that you had posed.
Yeah, the running water, electricity in the building. We do have electricity in the building. We've been maintaining that. You know, fall's coming soon. With, you know, do we need to heat that building next winter until construction starts? You know, where are the funds for that? You know, where are the funds to fix these other systems if that needs to be done? We're just trying to put these things on the table so everyone is aware of them and can think about them before everyone gets hit with them cold, that's all.
Okay, great. Yeah, so like I said, I will just wait to hear back from council on that, if there's any legal reasons that we need to keep certain things, and then from there we can make decisions on what we want to do.
Okay. We've got a couple of other things here, too.
Okay. There is a question in the back.
There's a couple of things that Mr. Crowley asked on a different subject other than the police use of the record, because I want to make about that.
You can speak directly.
Okay. So I just want to make it clear, I did a little more research on the situation with the trails and et cetera, and I really would like to push us hard to make a target deadline. If it's going to be functional, that it would be reasonable to do it, make it a target of September to be moved out. Because if we were to do that, we would have enough prorated refund in what we've already paid for those trails for the current year to pay for the removal without having to take $5 grand out of 16 grand. And we have the entire 16 grand to renovate.
Okay.
So I'd like to propose that as a target date.
Okay, great. So the statement was that we would propose a target date if the rectory is usable or feasible to use as in lieu of the trailers, that we would try to be up there by September to do that. And I think that that's probably a reasonable time frame. And the reason behind that is the financials work out in our favor to be able to make any changes we need to make up there, and also get the trailers removed without costing us any more money. So I think the first stage of this will be to nail down a date that yourself and Chief Horn and Mr. Schofield and I'll probably end up coming along with you guys as well, to get that figured out, and then we can figure out the next step from there. But you know, pending some crazy reason not to do it, I don't know why we wouldn't be able to.
It certainly makes sense to do it, so.
Mr. Watson.
Mr. Chairman, can the chairman of the committee speak to the current condition of that building at this time? And my second part of the question is, did the committee have any discussion about future plans that they wanted to use the rectory for, or was that always off the table for them?
The rectory was never part of the package for us. The building itself, it's a structurally sound building.
Joe, could you just slide the microphone just close to
sorry,
you? You
Lonnie.
can still direct your comment that way. Just so people.
The building itself is structurally sound. There are issues with the electrical, the heating system, the fire alarm system in the building right now, the way it was picked up from the church. You know, keeping in mind that that building is 50 to 60 years old, its original systems in the building, so they're due for replacement.
Thank you. On to your next item.
Next one. Over the winter, Alan was taking care of the plowing of the snow in the parking lot up there for us. Now that we've moved from winter into spring and shortly coming into summer here, the grass is growing. It really needs to be mowed up there. Susan has had some conversations with the Parks Department. They're not sure if they'd be able to take care of that. We're concerned that, you know, the building just sitting there, grass getting waist high up there, it's going to look like an abandoned piece of property. We're concerned with vandalism over the summer, things like that. Is there any way that the town could do anything for us as far as mowing up there?
Let me find out about that right away. I mean, we have plenty of town properties that get mowed. I think
Sure,
that
one more.
whoever's in charge of that, you know, we have to find a way to get one more, even if it's every other time. We'll find a way
Even
to.
just, you know, keep it neat and clean up there.
Yeah,
You know, it doesn't look like it's-
we'll find a way to help out with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We would appreciate that.
No problem.
Okay. And then finally, when Mr. Mandelier was on the Board of Selectmen, he was the liaison to us for the building committee, and he was attending all of our meetings. I don't know if the committee has any intention of maintaining that. I don't know if you've had any discussions on that so far. Or
As far as, you know what, if you don't mind, or if the board doesn't mind, maybe, I know that Mike likes to stay involved, so maybe check with him if he'd like to still maintain that position and just report to us as a media, or, you know, or if you guys feel differently, we can attend one of us can attend the meetings. But if Mike would like to stay on, I don't see why we couldn't have him, you know.
yeah, I didn't have the conversation with him, sorry.
Neither have I, neither, it's just an idea.
If he's not interested, then, yeah, one of us will
Yes.
step up and fill that role.
Mark said he'd do it.
Okay, perfect. I'll do it. It's a good way to get your feet wet, Bob. There's a meeting Thursday night, by the way, so we'll expect to see you there. Susan, do you have anything else?
Just to follow up on one thing, Mr. Tenio, I think you had some conversations with Mrs. Leonelli about she wants to make a donation to the renovation fund.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, it's been a while. I remember her bringing it up.
right.
All she needs to, are you looking for the mechanism?
No, what she would do is write her check out to the Friends of the Library. It's a 501c3. They can accept that. But this is her donation of her buyer's agent fee, which
Oh,
she was.
Correct.
Yes.
Right.
Which she's donating entirely to the project. And so I think there was some conversation about perhaps doing it here at the
Yes.
Selectmen's meeting.
We can, definitely set that up. Yeah, that was, well, I'm sorry, I kind of forgot all about it. I haven't spoken to her in quite some time. During the transition of the property when it was being, you know, purchased by us, and Mrs. Leonelli from Millennium Realty, up here at the corner where the bank is, Charles River Bank, she had mentioned that she would like to donate her commission check to the library renovation project, and I had mentioned that we definitely would be able to do that here, so that the recognition is noted and is on TV as well. Yeah, so and whatever is convenient for everyone, any one of our next meetings is fine.
All right, well, I'll check with Diane then about your schedule and see if we can just get on.
Yep, the next one is fine, or anyone that's convenient for
Okay.
everyone.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you guys so much, and thank you for reminding me, because I completely forgot.
Well, it was decided to put on hold for a few months anyway,
Oh,
so
that's
you're
right.
off the hook.
I think I knew that too, now that you
Yeah.
mentioned it, so I forgot that. Anything else I forgot?
I think we're
All right,
We'll let you
perfect. There'll be more, trust me.
There will be, trust me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next item on the agenda is discuss staffing in the Board of Selectmen's office. Is that the town manager's position, or does Diane need some more staff?
I think Diane needs to give some insight into that agenda item.
Discuss this, no, we're already past it, so. Discuss the staffing in the BOS office,
Yeah, we're gonna get some?
as far as the town manager.
I'll take anything right now.
I would, just kind of given the way that I started the meeting, I would like to just table that maybe till the next meeting when we have some better information on that and had some time to circle with Finance Committee and kind of everybody to get their thoughts on how we should proceed with that.
I mean,
What's that?
well, no, I mean, from my perspective, the vote was just a funding source. It doesn't change my opinion on the need for the position, and that we need to get it in sooner than later. We just need to, but what does, from my perspective, it does have implications on how our expenditures in this fiscal year. In terms of things we may have planned on doing, we may determine to shift course, because in my mind, this is probably our #1 priority, is to fill this position.
I would agree, and I think that that's probably why we need to circle with the Finance Committee to work on those, if we're going to have to make adjustments elsewhere to fund that position, then that's a big chunk of change to pull out of somewhere.
Yep.
Mr. Watson?
Mr. Chairman, I think everyone agrees how imperative that position is. Some people obviously didn't agree that funding it through an override was the best course of action. I would ask the board if they would consider, I know the warrant isn't closed yet, but if the board, in consultation with the Finance Committee, would consider maybe sponsoring an article at the special town meeting to ask the folks if they'd be willing to take some money out of stabilization to get us through for a year. I think that position's so important to get somebody in there. I know Diane is very short in that office now. Obviously, we just hear from her voice there that she has a lot going on there. So other than cut back in other areas, which obviously might have to be considered, because everything's so tight everywhere else in town, that may be an option. I know the town never likes to dip into that for operational needs, but we have in the past in serious situations. And I would say, as a resident, that this is a serious situation. I think we're going on, was it close to 3 years now without a town manager? And as you all said many times in the past, without one, we're missing opportunities, we're missing grants, things of that nature. So I hope you would just consider that with the Finance Committee, that may be a possible option.
Yeah, I'm not willing to rule anything out, to be honest, but an act like that for the current fiscal year really locks us into next fiscal year in terms of finding that same funding on a recurring manner. So I wouldn't necessarily look at doing it in this next special town meeting, but maybe in the fall town meeting. We're going to have a couple other chances to look at this, but I think we have to think this out a little bit. What are all the implications of certain actions? But I'm not ruling out anything, to be honest.
Yeah, I should have also said, Mr. Godden, I didn't mean the full 110. I meant something smaller than that to give some help for the year to get us through, maybe something part-time or somebody on a consulting basis, or whatever the board and the Finance Committee together felt was reasonable. But at least somebody in there to help us through until we can sort things out over the next year.
Thank you. Mr. Schofield?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'm here to kind of discuss in pieces with each individual, but not just I'm here to what I think would be a much more elegant solution to this problem. So I'd like to see just an item on your next agenda, and we can talk through exactly how we can solve the problem.
Okay, definitely, 100%. I think that this definitely needs to be on the next item. When is the next Finance Committee meeting?
I don't have one scheduled.
Thank you. What is this? Oh, is this to mow the fields?
This sounds like it's a little different than haying.
Is that to mow the fields? It just seems very...
The
next item?
harvest forage crops.
That's the way the licenses work.
Oh, okay. So this is the next item is regards to the mowing and the haying of the fields on Route 16 in Inman Hill. We have a different way of presenting it now, and it's to discuss the license to grow and harvest forage crops from Milford Street Lot 20 North Avenue, Lot 3, and Inman Hill Road, Lots 16, 26, and 33, the town fields.
Are these buildable lots?
No, these are our land. This is.
No, I know. But, I mean,
Oh.
are the Inman Hill lots, are they buildable lots?
Well, zoning-wise, you have several frontage lots.
Right.
That was slated to be a very large subdivision, that's why we bought it.
Right.
Do I want to sell them?
Yes.
There's
No.
a lot up there.
Well, no, I mean,
there's one.
I guess this is actually to our previous conversation. I think if these are town assets, is this the best use of those assets, or is there something else we may want to think about doing with them? I don't
Oh,
know.
and that's,
So we're tying them up for 3 years with this?
well, no, because it's now a license, and a license we can revoke at any time. I think that's why we went with that wording.
Okay, so it's a 3-year license, not like an annual license?
We're just giving it for 3 years, that way the person that has access to that license, because they do go ahead and improve the properties with, again, I think we've discussed before,
No, I understand.
fertilizing and
I'm with you on
whatnot.
that.
So there is an investment being made, and then obviously the hay is used for their farms.
Did we ever get an answer to the question the previous chairman asked?
No, it's been asked on multiple occasions, so I think we should ask again.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we should ask again.
Resend the question, Diane, please. The question is, what is the
Revenue being produced.
the cost and expenditure, the cost to maintain the fields, and what would the revenue be had you sold the hay, I guess, or what is the benefit to not having to buy the hay? I think that we posed that question a multitude of times, and I don't think we've ever seen any hard numbers. Linda?
May I?
You may.
Only because I have some knowledge
Yep.
there. There is no revenue because it's used on farm. The value of that to the farmer is approximately zero, because the cost to produce it is approximately equal to what he could buy it for elsewhere.
Okay.
No. If he were to produce it, and I'm speaking now aside, I'm speaking not from the inside.
Understood.
But only from past experience.
Understood. I think that what this, if we could just take 1 year, how much, and again, I know it probably varies again from year to year. Just take last year, for instance, and just tell us, okay, what was taken off in bales and, or in whatever the measurement is, and then we can put a cost to that of what does a bale, if it's bales, one bale of hay costs $2, then we know that was the cost, and how much did it cost to maintain that field? Now, we may have to go back 2 or 3 years to find out what the maintenance of the field was, because the fertilization may not happen, certain fertilization may not happen every year. Definitely understand all that.
And I'll leave that up to him, but I just
Okay.
know from being on the inside that the only value is that the labor itself could be contributed by him, and he's assigning a zero value to his labor.
Right.
When you put labor in at its real cost, then that crop is worth it.
Understood.
That's
Thank
fair.
you.
And I think that question was asked at
And-
one point in time, before.
Actually,
That makes, I'm more concerned also with the 3-year. And if we're not tying it up for 3
Linda.
years.
Sorry, thank you. Sorry, what'd you say?
So we're not locked in for 3 years based on this?
No, because it's a license. We can revoke a license.
Okay.
That's why council went that way, and Mr. Hawks was okay with it, understood it.
Because the other aspect is what's the value of this land, regardless, right, to the town, if we were to sell it? That's the other side of the coin.
What's the value of the land?
The land itself, there's a value from an asset standpoint to the town.
Yes.
And I don't know the answer to that, but I'd be curious to know more about it. But if we want to move ahead with this, I'm okay with making the motion.
Okay, have at it.
All right. I vote to sign 3-year license with Peter Hawks to grow and harvest forage crops for Milford Street, Lot 20, North Avenue, Lot 3, and Inman Hill Road, Lot 16, 26, 33, Town Fields.
Second?
Discussion is made to grant Peter Hawks a 3-year license to maintain the fields and forage the crops. at the said locations. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Anybody here for the Imperial Gas application? Anybody here for the Town Forest Committee? Anybody here for the Municipal Hearings Officer appointment? Anybody here to discuss the annual inspection and maintenance of the town's fire alarms? Discuss estimated current server upgrade. Anybody here to discuss the server upgrade besides myself?
And we have Northeast Realty here.
I know, that's what I'm kind of just, I don't want to, if there was anybody here waiting for something, I'm trying to get through it. So, why don't we have Northeast come up? That way you guys can get out of here and not be here all evening. Good evening.
Good evening. We've had some correspondence with you through Diane, but we wanted to bring to your attention the first RFP for the solar and where that stands. On the 20th of May, this past Monday, was our comment period, and we did get some comments that we responded to. For your information, we have 19 different companies that have been sent the RFP. Not unlike other RFPs, they kind of wait right up until the last to ask questions, and we've been commenting and communicating with them for the last couple of weeks, not every single one of them, but a number of them, to figure out what the issues are and are they going to propose or not. And in the discussions, some of which was answered in the email that went out yesterday, a number of the companies have concerns about some of the issues within the RFP. So we put together a recommendation that you should have copies of. Do you all have copies of it? We have.
Yes,
Yep.
by email.
Right. So we have a recommendation in there that Steve will go over right now to amend the RFP to deal with these issues brought up by, in fact, the market. Steve, do you want to go through that?
Hi, Steve Marsden from Northeast. One of the big concerns that was raised is if you look at the bottom paragraph, that's a quote from the RFP. And the way that's worded, the respondents have felt that that was onerous and it left a lot of latitude to the town and none to them. They didn't know what their performance requirements would be, and that you could just cancel it and keep their bond.
Okay, what was this, for the 50,000?
Yes.
Yep, it says,
So,
the amount of such proposed deposit shall be $50,000. If the selected proposer fails to enter into a lease with the town that incorporates all of the requirements of the RFP, its proposal deposit shall become the property of the town as liquidated damages. And what they're concerned about is because there's so many unknowns and it takes a lot to negotiate a lease, during that first 90 days, they didn't want that bid bond to be at risk, because if there was some basic difference between the town and the respondent, you would just drop them off and move down to the next respondent and
Okay, so,
work with them.
so are we proposing a 90-day window to, is that what you, is that what?
That's
I'm
how
hearing?
long we had to sign the lease. That was what was written in there. That's what's in the proposal now, is 90 days to get the lease signed. So give them a free look for the 90 days, and then what I'm recommending is that we make a $5,000 hard at the end of that 90 days. So then they're making a commitment to the town and moving forward, and then continuing to negotiate if there's needs to be continued negotiation on the lease. But just make it clear that they have 90 days to figure stuff out and come in and communicate with the town. Then it goes hard, and then there's also other performance standards in there that they have to meet, so that they would then proceed on with that, and that you would get the $5,000.
5,000 or 50,000?
I propose to change it to 5.
Gotcha.
As you remember, we had that discussion about the bid bond. Originally, we were talking 1,000. It was pushed up to 50,000, and that was what went out in the RFP.
Why did we push it up to 50,000? I'm just
I
not...
think
I think we wanted to weed out candidates that weren't serious.
that was the thought of the discussion we had between us and also town council.
Okay. So we're looking at 50,000 as a complaint at this point.
Yes. It's partially due to the way that paragraph is worded. A number of the people who requested copies called me back and said, geez, that paragraph, I'm not going to submit because of that paragraph, because I have no idea what the town, you know, when I start negotiations, if all of a sudden we realize I'm on square A and they're on square B, I lose my bid bond of $50,000, and that's a big risk to take. And so the way the proposal is written, the way the RFP is written, you would just drop down to proposer number 2 and then start the negotiations with them. That's why we would shortlist it, and that's also proposed in here. The wording is already in the RFP, but we had not included, in accordance with 30B, you have to put in there what the requirements are going to be to shortlist. So my proposal is that we extend the June 3rd date, and then I put in their requirements for the short list, so that then you can shortlist 2 to 3 applicants. Then you bring them in, and then you would start the negotiations, and they would have that 90 days to work with the town and come up with and make a commitment. Now, they may make a commitment in 30 days, and then the $5,000 would go hard. So as soon as they've made their commitment, the money goes hard. It's just that they're concerned that if they find out something disastrous, they're going to lose $50,000.
Did this go, did we send this to council? Did he reply yet?
I didn't finish that
Oh,
line, I'm sorry. What I was going to do is, I'm just looking for your direction tonight, and then I would send all of this, the revisions to Bob, to town council, for his review and approval before I did anything. But I'm just looking for your direction. I didn't want to send it to him without your direction.
Yeah, I'm not,
He was copied on the email
Right.
that you sent us, he was copied on it, so.
Correct.
see, the thing I'm trying to get over, and I think I was trying to get over it the first time we talked about it, how do we go from 5 to 50? There seems to be such a disparity between those two amounts.
Well, if you consider that the whole lease could potentially be $40,000 to $45,000 a year
Yep.
for the entire lease,
Yep.
for them to take that risk of $50,000 is a big upfront risk when,
Oh, yeah, I
No,
think
no,
that we're
no.
in agreement that...
Right,
why- I
my
can't
question is, why
recall-
are we dealing with just 5 or 50 versus,
Why didn't it go, yeah, I mean, because I think
Why
the
we
initial
dropping-
number was 5,000, right?
originally it was 500.
Oh, huh?
500?
And then you recommended 1,000, and then
We went to 50?
we went to 50.
Mr. Watson?
Mr. Chairman, my recollection is, and please correct me if I'm mistaken, I remember Mr. Goddard having some concerns around these discussions about tying up that piece of property. There was some discussion that sometimes the permitting process can take a number of years, and Mr. Goddard raised some concerns about tying up that piece of property for X amount of years if it wasn't going to be fruitful. I thought that the part of the discussion about the 50,000 was surrounding that to make sure we had people that were very interested and weren't going to pull up. And then further, I thought that in discussions I heard in the past that these leases are generally long-term, many year leases. So although it may be 45,000 a year, that may be over 30 or 40 years, which is a substantial amount of money. So when you take the 50,000 and tie it into a 30-year lease, it's not, I guess, to a company interested in this, it wouldn't be as concerning as if they did a 1-year lease. They were putting down 50 grand to get a 1-year, $45,000 lease. I can understand that. But if they were interested in working with the town for a 30 or 40-year lease, then 50 doesn't sound as concerning. So if somebody could just speak to that, I thought that's what was the reason that you guys had bumped that up, just in case that the property was tied up X number of years and then we lost out on any negotiation and the use of that land for 2 or 3 years.
Thank you. I mean, with you said you gave it 19 packages already?
Yes.
How many have
Me too.
actually given you feedback on this amount?
I've gotten feedback from 6 people who all said they were not gonna respond.
So a third of the people that received a package expressed concern on this amount, and 2/3 have not.
Correct, and particularly the
They haven't
wording,
responded at all.
Okay.
and particularly the wording about the,
The issue is, the
I-
issue in
not so much-
particular is the wording of that paragraph, because it's very onerous on the applicant or the proposer.
Okay, so-
It's not so much that they're worried about making a commitment to the town, and there are other performance standards that we put in there. They have to submit applications for the interconnection and to the town, and they have to do all of those within certain time periods, and then there's also performance payments that they have to make during that time frame. So you're getting money as they're moving along, and they're making a commitment to the town through checks.
And I apologize if I'm saying what's in this, in your amendment. Would it be more reasonable to say $50,000, 5,000 of which is non-refundable? Or is it the $50,000 down, that there's this upfront money that, because to me, it seems a little bit extreme, and from my perspective on this. The 50,000, and I always think, I think I always said it was a little extreme. There's a lot of money and time that's going to be spent on just researching this project with, again, like you said, the unknowns that are out there. With the fact that we have 19 people that have requested this proposal, that to me is a pretty good pool of candidates at this point. And if we're going if this runs them all out, then it didn't work, because now we don't have one.
That's where I run out a third.
Yeah.
And 2/3 are
Haven't even replied
expressed.
back.
They might have just circular filed it when they saw it. You never know.
Yeah.
They didn't
That's what I'm
file
saying,
it.
we could end up
Yeah.
with 0. So,
I want to clarify your point. You said 50 with 5 being non-refundable, or 5 is the total number, I think was the question.
I don't know what the right answer is, I really don't. I guess, what do the other communities do? What have you seen in the past? What's the norm on this, is what I would say.
As town council pointed out, to purchase a bond, you're not actually, we've given them the choice of either giving you a check or purchasing a bond. So the bonding amount is, the $50,000 is not so much the concern as the way that paragraph is written. And I just want to be able to give them the assurance that they have the ability to come in, do an initial look at the property, figure out, do their initial due diligence, and then at 90 days, we can have some money go hard. But they're just concerned about the way that paragraph is written, because it just leaves the town the ability to...
Is it the wording or the amount? Because I don't have a problem
It's a
changing-
combination of the two.
Right.
So the combination of the two puts it in the round file. We need to make an amendment either to the amount or the paragraph.
How fast do
And
you
I'd
need the
rather
amendment?
make the amendment to the paragraph.
Instead of the amount, because you're recommending...
Given a choice of two, if you're giving me a choice of A or B, I would rather, we need to amend the
I'm looking for a
paragraph.
recommendation, so your recommendation can't be, you can't give us both without saying which one is your preference. Change the wording without the amount, or change
Or
both,
both.
or change...
Both.
Right, the amount.
10,000.
My recommendation is that you change both, because then you don't necessarily need to change it to 5, but I recommend that 5 go hard after the 90 days. And that way they're making a commitment to the town.
I think so, yeah. So I think at this stage, how fast do you want to get this amendment done? Because I'm assuming we're on a time crunch here at this point.
Well, I have till the 3rd, so I have a couple weeks.
The thought was, if we got your approval to make these changes, we would submit them to Bob
Yeah, I think
tomorrow.
And then we can come back to the next meeting and
I
get
think
them
it
okayed.
is, with time being of the essence, I guess we could just take a poll of the board. I'm in favor of
I'm in
adjusting this
favor
to whatever it needs to do to make this thing, to make these
Make the
proposals
pool
come
as
in.
large as possible.
Exactly.
Right.
Regardless of amount and how much we're gonna end up with. Again, I don't want I don't want it tied up either, but with 19 people requesting this package, I mean, even if a third of them just responded, we have a really good pool.
Yep.
And you also are suggesting extend the period to June 25th?
June 25th, so ideally, if
so
the
everybody-
amendment goes out this week or by Monday, they still have almost 6 weeks to put their proposal together.
The idea is that if they put it in the round file, they now need to take it back
back
out of
out.
the round file and look at it.
Send them a new one with the amendment.
But,
We can do
and I
that.
think, and we'll probably talk a little bit about this in terms of the second RFP. By extending the 25th, we're going to probably gain ground on maybe some latency in getting that second RFP out, correct?
That's
That's
correct.
correct.
Increase the overlap period, which I think we want to make sure we do, so we have
Yeah.
an opportunity to see everything.
So this would be the green light to go ahead, and again, if, for time being of the essence, if we're all in agreement that the adjustment be made, I think that as long as the council approved it and we were able to read it and you know, not disagree on it,
Yep.
then we would, you know, go ahead with it.
Okay, I just wanted your direction before I sent it to him. That's all.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for you to make a decision tonight.
Do we need to make a motion to allow this
I'll just say
amendment?
so moved to everything you just said.
So, okay, so I would think that there would be, so we're making an amendment to what portion, just that paragraph?
Well, do we want to talk about the other items? Because there's also an issue here on power purchase agreements. There's some people that are concerned that the town, and I actually had some questions on this one. The town wasn't
Yeah.
purchasing power?
Let me,
Go ahead.
the concern is that to enter into a lease without a way to sell the electricity,
Right.
again, they're reluctant. All I'm asking for, and this was one of the questions that was asked, and I had to respond on the 10th, so I gave the information out, but I just want to be able to say in my response, not put it as part of the bid, because that was specifically requested by the selectmen to not have it be part of the bid. You wanted just revenue. So you weren't locked into a PPA with, or a power purchase agreement with the developer. But I want to let them know that the town is available for negotiations for a PPA. Just as general information, not as part of the bid.
So
So it's no commitment, it's just that you're interested.
Allowing you to say that.
Yes.
are these people aware that the regional school district would take all of this power if it went in?
They, regional
Or they
school,
have they use that much power?
Yes.
So when there's a,
2.4 megs is what the regional, VOTEC has said that they would,
no,
Be interested
not the
in.
VOTEC, I'm talking about the regional school district who actually is looking to purchase power.
Right, and we've had discussions with them as well, so and we're gonna get their permission to make that representation that they are
So they-
available for negotiation.
And there's one bidder that they've actually, and I'm not sure it means they're locked into that one.
well, that's kind of my last discussion with the finance director at the regional school
They
system.
tied into that one bidder?
He said that they were finalizing the contract.
But even if the VOTEC took it, I mean, even if we went, if it was a three, the VOTEC's gonna take 2.4.
That's correct.
So the school is locking down
Wait,
their
that's correct.
options to one bidder who may not potentially get the bid here?
Well, they have another site that they're going to
Okay.
build in the area.
Okay.
So that's probably 3 or 4 weeks ago when I last talked with him, that he was getting down this road and ready to commit to a contract with this one particular company.
Okay.
So the regional school, the Mendon Upton Regional School would be out, the VOTEC school would be in. The combination of the VOTEC school at 2.4 megs and the town potentially at 400 kilowatts would pretty much achieve the 3 megawatt concept that we've been working on.
And it would not be part of the RFP, I just wanna make the representation that you are available for negotiation.
I think that, I mean, in my opinion, I'd be open to discuss anything with anybody.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I just don't wanna speak for you.
I understand.
That's all.
And that was the same response from the VOTEC Regional School when we talked to the facilities director up there.
Yeah, I
Definitely
wouldn't
would like
want
to
to
talk to them.
bypass any opportunity.
Right,
Right.
and that's what he said, yeah, have him come talk to us, absolutely. But
Mr.
I just-
Watson?
Mr. Chairman, would the gentleman know how long the school district is signing a contract with this other supplier?
Generally, these are 20-year deals. Sometimes it's 25. We don't know the length of it, but I think it's,
You have no idea.
yeah.
We don't know.
We're not involved in
This is
the,
a follow-up, and they may not be able to answer this.
Well, you can't talk for them.
yeah.
Is there a possibility that if the school district, and I don't expect anyone to speak for the school district, that if the school district signs a contract with the southern supplier and we end up putting the system in here, that they could have actually got a lower rate from the system we're gonna put in? Is that a possibility?
There's always a possibility with,
Anything's possible.
anything's possible, and since I'm not involved in I don't mean to have my back to you, I was just trying to keep my mouth close to the microphone. Anything's possible, and they're available for negotiation, and that's all I want to do is make sure that everybody knows that, so that if they wanted to make an inquiry to the school, regional school, they could do that now and start that discussion, but I don't want to make the representation without permission of the people.
I think that we can probably reach out to the school district, as Selectman Goddard just mentioned, and find out what their plans are.
I would hate for them to miss out an opportunity if this other parcel, because I spoke to that group, and
Correct.
They're hoping to get this land, so, I
Correct.
mean, I think that they have a lot of ideas on where they can build one. I feel pretty good that something will come through here, so I'd want to make sure that, I mean, it would be a benefit to our town if the school district were able to ensure.
And I'll reach out to the regional school district to find out the status of their contract.
I mean, Diane, maybe we can reach out to Jay and just ask him for an update.
Okay.
That was also, we'll submit it to town council, and we'll get on your agenda to get your approval.
Yeah, when's our next
agenda.
meeting?
Did you,
That you have to get the,
Before that, yeah, I don't want to,
yeah.
Well,
Okay.
we,
I
So
just
we'll
want
just
to, if a council agrees with what you're trying to do, I'm okay with it.
Okay.
As long as these guys are okay with
we need to
it.
approve it, we could do it on the 29th before the dog hearing.
Oh, we do have a meeting on the 29th. So if we need to make any kind of motion, we will, but as of the moment, let's
go ahead.
proceed forward as everything's okay.
Okay, thank you. Chairman.
Second RFP, we got some questions on that too, right? For us.
Sure. There's when we've discussed this before, there was a question as to exactly what you were looking for in there, light industrial, commercial mixed use. The responses that we're getting back are more commercial retail. So just wanted to, when we write the bid package, it's easier if we're directing it in a certain way and making sure that that is something that the selectmen like to see in there is commercial retail. And then also we had never really discussed whether it was a sale or a lease. And I either have to put both in the RFP, and that's permissible under 30B. So then they respond with both a lease price. Each respondent would respond with a lease price and a purchase price. And then you would be able to choose what is the most advantageous for the town. So then if I put it in that way, then you're allowed that flexibility.
Okay, so a couple things, even from the email, Duncan, that you sent, you're stating that we have to do one or the other. I'm not sure. I just heard we have the
Yeah, I
option
think
of putting both in.
mine went out before Steve could see it, but.
And two, no, I mean, I'm very clear here. I expected a draft of the RFP probably a week and a half ago. So where do we stand on that? It sounded like it hasn't been written yet or started, because these are base questions you need from us, right?
Right. No,
Okay.
but we've got the basic documents started, and it's getting those questions resolved.
Okay.
So if the recommendation would be to go with commercial retail, and then put in sale and/or lease, and get the pricing on that, and not address any residential opportunities.
So
at this
the
point.
first question then is, do we have a perspective on, do we want to tailor the site to a type of commercial venture, right? That's number one. I really don't have an opinion.
Can we keep it open-ended as just commercial, or is your suggestion to tailor it towards?
No, I think both commercial and retail would be allowed, and it helps us narrow it
Or
down.
industrial, it's mostly whether you wanted residential included.
Oh.
Not at the moment.
Right.
I don't think that, I think that, let's try to keep that more of our, it's part of our business district.
Correct. Yep.
We're short on it as it is.
Right. And we just wanted to validate that before we
So
finalized the second.
The response, when I asked for the responses, the information that I put in there for them to include would be very different for residential as opposed to commercial.
Oh, okay.
So I just don't, I don't want to have to, I don't want people to get the impression from the information that I'm asking that that you're looking for residential. I want to gear it towards a commercial enterprise.
Yes.
Mark?
My thought was if we're putting in the contract that lease or sale, would it be hurting us not to put a price on if we were going to sell it?
Well, right, what we're, in this process that what we're doing, we're actually asking for bids on
Right.
how much are you willing to pay for it, because it's kind of such an unknown to try to just sell it outright. So what this does, it allows a bidding process to take place, and at the end of the day, if we don't like what we've got on the table, we just throw them all in the trash.
That's correct.
Part of, just so that you weren't here for a lot of the discussions we had before, so I'll just add a little bit more information. Part of it, we have to provide a broker value, and that's also part of Chapter 30B, the bidding process. So you have a basic value of what that property is worth before you're trying to make a decision. So you make sure that you're in the range. So if the broker opinion value says it's worth X and somebody bids something that's way below X, you would be able to go, yeah, that's not a good bid, and not award it.
Okay.
So you'll have that information.
All right.
So, do we have an opinion on, I'm the one who likes the most flexibility possible, but do we have an opinion on lease versus sale, one or the other or both?
I like the option of both in there.
I would like to sell it personally.
Right, I think that this gives us the option that, everybody's got to give us a number on both.
Yep.
And if we get some crazy lease number too, then,
But are you sure we can do both? Because I'm pretty sure town council is the one who weighed in and said, you got to do one or the other, because we had this conversation in a previous meeting.
The issue is that if I can't leave it up to them. I
Lease or
can't have
sale.
one person responding with a sale price and one person responding with the lease price, because then you can't compare.
Everybody's got to come in with both.
Everybody's got to come in with both.
And they could state a preference of what they would like to do.
Right, and they could say, well, I really want to buy it, so my lease price is $2 a year.
Right.
So then you're not going to pick their lease price, but
Okay.
they have to be able to respond with a lease price so that you can compare apples and apples.
Okay.
So I have to, in the bid response, I have to have them respond to both lease and sale.
That's fine.
I can't let them choose.
That's okay. I'm good with that.
That's the difference.
Gives us more things to choose from.
Yeah. So I can't leave it open-ended. That is not, I can't do that. But if I have them respond to both,
okay.
then you can make that decision.
And what was the other question?
We had a question.
Yeah, response.
Mr. Chairman, historically, what brings more revenue to a town, a lease or a sale? Do we know that?
Well, it all depends on the numbers. A sale is just one time. If a lease ends up being, in the retail space, you can sometimes see 100-year leases, and those are in that realm. Yeah, I would expect that overall at the end of it, you've made more money than just selling it off. You'd also have to compare over time. Has that property increased? Does the retail person stay there, and then you just have another vacant lot, but they're still continuing to pay you? And you saw a lot of things like that happen down Rhode Island, Chestnut Hill. That whole retail area was booming for a while, and then with the construction of a lot of the larger malls, you saw that local retail go away. But now they're starting to build back up again. So it's an unknown. You go with the sale price if it's a good amount of money based over and above what the appraised value of it is, or the assumed
Broker opinion of value.
Brokered opinion of value is. And then I guess maybe you've made a hit and you just take it and you go with it, and you're ahead of the game. But again, like on something like a 50 or 100-year lease, you're really doing something good in my opinion.
And I think as we've talked with the flexibility that we're going to build into the second RFP, that will allow the bidders to tell us about the market and what they're proposing. And I think once we better understand the use, and hopefully there's some competition around the similar use, then we can better understand what that value can be, and then evaluate the long-term versus the short-term.
I always figured if I won the lottery, I'd take the lump sum.
Yeah, understood.
I'm not gonna take the annuity, I want the check.
Yeah.
So a couple of things, the schedule for soil testing, that's still an open item?
Yep, the discussion was that there was gonna be a cost to have the Board of Health agent out there.
Yep.
And so, in discussion with people who would propose to respond, they're gonna wanna do their own soil testing themselves when they get here, whoever gets awarded the bid. So I'll go out and do unofficial testing so that you'll know what it is, and then there'll be no cost to the town.
What was the
So I'm
cost?
scheduling that.
What was the cost that we were getting from the board?
It was $250 a hole, and I plan on doing like 15 holes, so I can get a good area. So it was gonna be a significant cost.
When do you plan on going out?
As soon as the DPW guy gets back to me, I sent him another email this morning.
Okay.
And then the last item was a solar broker opinion of value. And I think there might have been was there an attachment to one of these emails?
Yes, so we had, I think, 10 sites on 10 projects that we put in there. The low, which was out in more western Mass, was 12,000 a megawatt. Generally, it was in at either 17,500 per megawatt or 20,000 per megawatt. The average came out to be approximately 17.5 thousand per megawatt on these 10 projects.
That's
So-
where we're,
That's the broker.
that's the ballpark we were talking about, right?
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
The offer that they just got in East Brookfield was 11,000 per meg.
Was that for the pilot?
That's for the 11 meg that they're putting over there.
Yeah, for.
It was just in the paper this morning.
Right, for the pilot.
With a
Yeah,
pilot.
For the pilot.
Right, that's for the pilot. We're talking the rental number is on those 10 sites,
Okay.
averaged 17,500 per megawatt, just below that.
Thank you.
Guys need anything else from us?
Nope, all set.
We're good?
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Thank you.
Let me know when you're gonna dig those holes. Or just let Diane know, I should say.
I will.
Perfect, thanks.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
I got a motion here for allowing the lease of vehicles.
Oh, yeah, probably, right? Please, make sure.
I move to authorize public safety to enter into a contract for the lease of police vehicles in accordance with the town meeting approval on March 19th, 2013.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded to allow public safety to enter into a contract for the police vehicle lease. Discussion? Mr. Schofield?
The one thing I just think we should make sure of though is that, well, I guess it would have to be in accordance with the amounts that we agreed, right? So the amount for the, that's funded for both year one and for FY14 is not to exceed 42,000, is what we have in the budget. So I just want to make sure that it's not a penny more than that, that's
42K
42,000.
for this year's budget.
40,000 per annum. So if you recall, what we did is we used FY13 money to fund both FY13's payment and FY14's payment. We put 42,000 of FinCom reserve that we protected on purpose to add to FY14's budget. We did that at the ATM. That's what's going to fund the FY14 number. And then for FY13, it was going to be for free cash.
So we got a $42,000 cap
We didn't
annually.
budget for not one penny more than that.
Annually.
Right.
Annually?
Correct, and, yes.
So, I'll amend the motion. I move to authorize public safety to enter into a contract lease for police vehicles in accordance with the town meeting approval on March 19th, 2013, with the amount of the leases not to exceed $42,000 annually.
Second?
Discussion as amended? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss Imperial Gas LLC, 1 Millville Street, new license application. Is that the one that got denied?
Yes.
So we just need to,
We need to amend our vote or something?
oh, we're gonna rescind it, or do we need to?
I actually talked to Ralph Sacramone from the ABCC, he said it's not necessary that you rescind. Actually, it wasn't Ralph, it was an investigator at ABCC.
Just so everybody knows, the license was denied not only for the simple fact that you can't have two of the different licenses as one person. So you can't have a to be drank on premises and to be sold as a liquor store. You can't hold the same, both those licenses in one town. So that's what I was saying. Which was news to me. But it makes sense now that I think about it. Mr. Watson?
Chairman, so what's the workaround then? So
There is no workaround.
So he can't sell liquor at that?
In the gas station, correct.
So, just a question, because I have a copy of the warrant here. What are the dates? When do we have to have this reviewed and signed?
June 4th,
Oh, we're meeting on that day.
All set.
Yeah, one thing I'd probably maybe want to do too is, Rich, you don't have a FinCom meeting scheduled at this time, correct?
We were planning, hopefully only on one more to approve the last special town meeting and then recess for the summer.
Okay. You know, one thing I want to try to do is possibly schedule our review of this either the same time or after FinCom makes their recommendations. I want to kind of pull this together a little bit more on these different money articles. But I don't think we're going to be able to do it this time.
I'm sorry, which ones you talking about?
Well, I think, am I looking at? This looks like it's a draft warrant for the upcoming special town meeting, the year end.
Okay, so no problem. We can meet at your convenience on the same day or whatever and discuss it all at once if you'd like.
Perfect. June 4th.
Whatever you'd like.
Take it on the 4th.
Want to put us on the agenda, then do that, and we'll...
Okay. I shall invite you to the meeting. Okay. We have discussed municipal hearings officer appointment.
So this is a rotating role?
Yes.
Is that right?
I believe the next person up is Sherry Grant. Give him,
When would this term start if we make a decision? When does the municipal hearings officer term start?
July 1st, so it ends June 30th.
so this is a regular appointment?
It's an annual appointment.
Okay, so it'll be in the list?
Right, but the question came up,
About the part in the full-time?
right.
Yeah, no, we're just gonna continue along with it. It'll be Sherry.
So you rotate
Yep.
the way, okay.
Discuss estimates for the annual inspection and maintenance of the town building fire alarms. We have them? I know we had a problem. We had the fire alarm went off here. Somehow I'm on the list. I got the phone calls that this place was on fire.
Who performs the inspections?
The fire department.
So,
I hope you call the fire department.
what are the annual estimates?
No, they called for me.
So,
So this would be the actual so the fire department just comes in annually and
checks it out.
checks it out, makes sure everything says okay on the board, blah, blah, blah. I don't know that they actually go through and, actually, you know what, I'm kind of making this up. I think we need their input, but I don't know that they go through and actually physically make the alarm go off. But this is more for custom, you would hire somebody like Custom Alarm to come up and
Okay,
go through
so
the system.
I was just wondering, because I'm sitting there, well, if the fire department does the annual inspection, why are we paying the fire department? But you're saying there's a third party that's brought in to truly kick the tires on the equipment. Is that what I'm hearing?
Right, it's more of a more thorough, they clean it, they look at it to see if anything needs to be replaced. So that's what that estimate was that I sent you. But then we also got a bill for the last call that we had when the alarm was going off because of that faulty alarm.
Right, so,
That was $551.
but it was broke, we had to fix it.
Right, one of them was replaced, and then he checked the other alarms that he had access to, and that was what that.
So just in a nutshell, what's the yearly maintenance?
Yeah, I emailed it to you, and I'm trying.
All right, I'll find it. Hold on. When did you send it? How about alarm?
Probably either the beginning of this week or last.
Fire alarm, elevator, up.
Upper level town hall.
Mr. Schofield.
I'm just curious about, concerned why we're worried about the annual maintenance of fire alarms right now. Is it something we have failed to budget for?
Yeah.
Yes, it's not
That's-
something that we have been doing, but the alarm company suggests that we shouldn't have been doing it.
We've not been.
We've never done it.
Testing our fire alarms.
Just what the fire
Maintenance,
department
sounds like.
inspection
Well,
does.
they get tested when they break and go off.
Yeah, that's not the time. Okay.
Yeah. We do have, when did you send? Yes, sir.
So one more thing, Mr. Chairman, then, so yeah, so if you could share that with me, you can see that from my correspondence earlier today, I've already started to compile a list of FY14 budget risks, so I'll add it to that, and we'll keep our eye on it and find it somewhere.
Okay. Could you just forward that to? So we have to pay for what we had fixed, so we need $550 to pay for that. So we should put that on, do we have that?
It's on the current,
It's on the warrant?
it's on this warrant because that's a bill that we have to pay.
Yeah, understood. Right.
Yes, but
Okay.
I'm referring to I get that.
The
Yep.
annual,
Correct,
right.
because we'll need that for
Yep.
next year, right?
Correct.
Perfect.
So the estimates are going to be forwarded to us,
I don't know
capital
that I
planning,
have this.
department heads, and FinCom, right?
And is that really a capital expense? After I said I would send it to them, I'm thinking, why am I sending it? to
What's
them?
that?
No, that's operational.
Expense to have them inspect it.
No, I don't think that's a capital expense.
Yes, yeah.
No, I think excuse me, I'm sorry.
You go ahead.
I believe that the capital expense limit is like something like $3,000, $5,000 for the capital planning. Anything below that, I don't think we do that. I'll check.
I thought it was anything under 25.
No, that's the rule as to whether or not you can use the CapEx account.
Oh, I got you.
So, Diane, if you haven't forwarded it, if you have, can you resend it? Because I see that email from yesterday.
And my touchpad's not working, otherwise I'd do it right now. I have a text.
You want to call it an emergency call?
No.
Okay. So we're all on the same page with that. Okay, let's discuss the estimate for the current server upgrade and the new website. So, again, I know it's an awkward position for me to be in, but I do have the best knowledge of what is proposed for the server. So, if you don't mind me switching hats for a moment, we sent over a quote to upgrade the current server that we have. The only non-usable part of that quote is the memory to upgrade the server. The licensing we will be able to transfer over, the server 2012 licensing that we'll need to purchase is transferable to the new server once that is on the radar and gets through CapEx. So with that being said, by upgrading the server now, we're going to buy ourselves quite a bit of time, at least another full year, and allow us to upgrade to the new KVS system and get the file structures all correct, folder redirection done correctly. A lot of the items that we're looking to really get done right now, instead of having to use flash drives to move files around, because again, we're just, the way that it's set up right now is just not functioning correctly. So in that case, that's what with the upgrades, we'll be able to get done what we need to get done at the current moment.
So if I understand you correctly, then we cannot upgrade to the latest version of Enterprise until the server is repaired. Is that correct? Or upgraded?
We physically could do it. It is highly not recommended by KBS and by us as well, because what we're running on right now is a little bit it's running on a server 2003 platform that is slightly unstable. What we have done is we went ahead and built a server 2012 virtual machine. You get 180 days or 90 days, whatever it may be, on the license temporarily, and moved the domain information over to that for authentication and your group policies and all that. What has happened now is that the KBS server has just been kind of dumbed down to just a file server at the moment. But we would rather move that all over. That old operating system is unstable that's in there right now, as it sits.
So one last question on this.
Yes.
So Diana, you put it on the special town meeting for the, okay, because that's got to happen. That's a huge, in my mind, process and efficiency, like have that thing upgraded to enterprise.
Well, I mean,
500.
but I mean, I think there's also, I mean, that's one piece of it, but we're going to need a new server.
Oh, we definitely will need a new server at some point.
That's
if you don't mind, could I just have, because I can
just
just,
something we got to kind of capture from a budget risk standpoint.
Well, it should be submitted to the capital planning committee,
Yeah.
right?
the only amount that's not transferable on here is the $350 for the memory. The rest of this quote is all transferable to the new server with licensing. So the $910 for the 2012 standard software, the 2012 user client access licenses, and the 20 remote desktop or terminal services client access licenses. Linda.
Lonnie, did you say it runs out after 120 days?
So no.
So on a temporary license?
Sure. It doesn't shut off.
Technically?
It doesn't shut off.
No, but what I'm wondering is, within 120 days, we have to find a way of actually upgrading. This is a...
It's going to complain about the license key after 120 days. We have license keys at World Band that we would be able to put in there. We're not going to, trust me, we're not going to shut down.
No, I was just thinking about the long-term plan and whether or not we're, with doing this sort of temporary license, if then we're going to be pursuing a more permanent fix, which we hope will happen in 120 days or so.
Sorry. I'm sorry if I put it out there a little bit incorrect. By purchasing this, we had only moved it over temporarily to make sure that this fix was going to work. The fix worked. By doing this, you're buying the licenses. That temporary license goes away. This would be the full-time license.
So then, Mr. Chairman, so if I understand what you're saying, then the permanent thing is just the more general IT upgrade that the town needs in relation to services, similar to the thing we did over to the police station, correct?
That would be the permanent solution of a new physical server, correct?
Okay, so the capital planning committee could expect a quote from the
Exactly.
organization on that at some point.
Exactly. It's actually almost done. We wanted to get this. This was needed.
Does the capital planning, do you have the quote for the upgrade of the phone system or completing that?
Do you guys have the upgrade of the phone system?
Yeah, it's on a list. It's on the FY14 list.
Oh, right. That is, we've already actually ended up doing a portion of that because the fire department crashed.
Just curious, Rich, at what point, from a capital planning perspective, would it make sense to get back together with the board to review what's on there?
So currently, like we've already had meetings with several departments. We have meetings with the rest of the departments planned. We've had to move a couple because, like COA, for example, wanted a little more time to prepare. And once we're done, we've already met with the ADA coordinator. We know that as well. We've brainstormed and come up with a list of 10 different ways we can fund things, come up with a lot of creative ideas. And so I think after we look at all that stuff and prioritize the list, and we want to prioritize the list and then assign one of each of the 10 different funding mechanisms to each of them. And then at that point, it would be time to come back and present what we'll cut to the board. I think that, because then we'll have basically a finalized report. So as far as time-wise, is that what you're asking me? 3 months. I'd say roughly
3 months? I'd probably want to understand the list before 3 months is out. I mean, the final report, that's fine, but I think some of this stuff, I mean, I guess if there are things of more of immediate need, for instance, I think about the IT side and the server upgrade, and after spending some time in the treasurer's office, I think that's a big opportunity to leverage KVS more fully. If there are some things that jump out at you, we should probably be talking about those sooner than later from a planning perspective. My perspective, I'll defer. But even if it's part of our quarterly discussions with all the department heads, maybe we can bring it up then, just to level set.
All right, we'll ask the chairman to add to the agenda.
We didn't get the quote for the new website yet, correct?
Yes, we did.
Oh, we did?
It was $6,000
Oh,
upfront
sorry.
and then $2,000 annually.
So we had that, there was a meeting here Thursday, and it was with Virtual Town Hall. This is completely separate from World Band. Virtual Town Hall is a totally direct purchase from the town. We've been having some issues and functionality problems with the current website. Virtual Town Hall has really kind of come up with a pretty slick way to do this. A lot of the towns are moving to Virtual Town Hall. Upton just moved. They do more than municipality, but mainly municipal websites. So it could be a school, could be police, fire, and then again the full municipality. If you check out the new Upton website, it's actually pretty nice. They have quite a few different ways to kind of customize it, so that it's not just that everybody's got the same cookie cutter town website. So what we did see in the presentation the other day was pretty good. I did duck out early, but the feedback that I was getting from the employees that were at the meeting were that it was way easier to do than what they had for our current site. So, in my opinion, I would recommend that we probably pursue this option. I don't know if anybody else has any further input on it.
Just like that.
I mean, obviously, if we have financial backing to do it.
But why are we looking at a new website vendor?
Because the current website is almost, according to the people that are using it, it's very difficult to use.
Yeah, it's actually worse than that because, look, I'm pretty technologically savvy, and you have to go through so many gyrations to post an agenda or meeting minutes that I'm just not going to do it. The hassle you got to go through on this website to do that, it just not be that high. So I think that's the problem, is you're not getting the benefit out of what we should be getting because it's so difficult.
Are we getting the benefit that we purchased when we engaged this vendor? I mean, we laid out money to get a state-of-the-art website, right?
We didn't get the whole thing.
And we didn't get the whole thing. I'm just kind of curious. I think I've been in one meeting where we met with this vendor, and as far as I know, Maps is part of the first iteration, but for some reason, Maps Online never came through, and it seems...
There's a whole other piece, too.
Well, I'm kind of curious as to, I'm okay with doing a new website, but I want to kind of go back to the old vendor and, did we get what we paid for? That's my thinking. Because we paid...
My opinion, no.
Maybe if we go another direction, I think I want to make sure we close on the old direction to say,
Mr. Watson.
What went south, right?
Mr. Chairman, obviously some of the things that Mr. Goddard's bringing up might have been contractual, so you'd be able to look back at the contract, and if they weren't provided, then you could have some recourse on that. But in regards to the new vendor, I know you said you took some time to look at it, but I had to duck out. I can tell you as a resident who uses our website all the time, our website, and I'm not telling you anything you don't know, it's terrible. The only thing that really functions, halfway decent on it is the calendar, because you can see what meetings are happening and whatnot. But as Mr. Schofield says, you go in and try to look at meeting minutes or things of that nature. They're either not there, they're so old, they're not updated. People's names aren't updated, contact information. So I'm very much looking forward to the new website, and I've seen Upton's, and it is good. One of my main questions to you is, What did you see, if anything, before you had to leave for outreach through the website? I know in Upton's case, they'll send you out alerts about things that are going on town meetings, town agendas, things of that nature.
Yep.
We have that same capability built in. And my last question would be, did Mr. Schofield have the opportunity to see that presentation?
I don't believe he was there.
No, to be honest with you, I didn't know what was happening.
Okay, sorry about that. He did not see it. Sorry, what did you call, I know you called it
So
out.
basically, the outreach to the...
Yeah, but there was called something else, and we have, what? Listserv, we actually have the link, but there's nothing there. Yeah, it's already all built in, and it's just there by default, it's already done. The ability to, so you can join as many of them as you want, and then if you decide you don't want them, there's an unsubscribe in your email to then get off them. You can subscribe to them all, then you can shut off which ones you don't want, turn them on. It was very, very simple to use, to be able to sign up. Again, if you jump on the Upton one, it's going to be the exact, that portion of it's going to be the exact same thing. There was, to post, when he showed us how to post an agenda or minutes or whatever it was, I mean, it was simply click, there's your file, and it was up, and everybody in the room went, oh, well, that's much easier. So very, very simple to use. I was very impressed at how simple, I mean, more simple than, if that's a correct statement, than even like the ones that I've seen for like the website Baker that Millville uses, is even slightly frustrating. But
Would we want to just reach out to Upton and get sort of a testimonial? I mean, in terms of how was it to work with this company?
yeah, I can already tell you that Blythe was ecstatic with it,
Yeah.
but we can definitely ask her.
Well, we got it. There you go.
What's that?
We got a testimony.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to, look, I think it's probably, maybe it's a safe assumption, but maybe it's not, that if that's what this company does, is provide website builds for municipalities, that they probably have thought of every requirement we can have, but I still think it makes sense to spend a little bit of time before we enter into agreement with somebody else, reviewing with all the department heads what their requirements might be, the things that they want to make sure they could do, couldn't do, how easy things are, so you have something documented that says, this stuff's got to be in there.
And take that beyond department heads to the community as well.
That wouldn't hurt either.
I mean, I think Master Plan Committee has something coming up in early June, I think. Don't they have a focus group coming up, like June 6th,
20th or so.
20th? They're handing out at the
Yeah.
annual. Maybe we can kind of hijack that a little bit to get some feedback.
Yeah, Virtual Town Hall's been around for a little bit now. And I think when they first started, they had some struggles, but I think they really have gotten a lot better of how they function and their functionality. But yeah, what you're saying is 100% true. I mean, even reaching out to other communities, I think they're doing 48 municipalities or something right now. What did you say? No, they have 462 municipal clients. But obviously there's not that many towns in the state. So some are police, some are schools, some are this, some are that. But there's definitely enough in there. I think they're mainly in Massachusetts, New Hampshire. So there's, they're close by, and, easy to contact.
Ian McDonald, how old is the current site? When was the last time?
Not that old.
Not that old?
5 years. No.
Oh, it's not 5 years old.
Yeah, we did this contract since I've been a selectman. And that's.
This really came out, this is like the first thing, it came out of master plan, wasn't it?
Yep.
That's where the funding came from?
Yep. So, right, it was the funding, the good news is, well, the funding came out of a donation, so it wasn't like it was the end of the world. But at the same time, that still frustrating.
It was fairly expensive at that time.
I want to say it was right around the same money, 7, maybe 8. But there was talked up quite a bit. That there's things we don't have in there that were said.
So is what I'm hearing is it's the board's feeling that you'll do some further exploration, and in conjunction with the master planning committee, do some reach out to the community and the department heads before you go forward?
We're going to discuss that. I understood that Rich and Mike actually volunteered to do that, so.
Well, only because I think that's a good idea, because I think you'll get a lot of good feedback, especially from the community users who try to find things. And again, I use it quite a bit, so to go around from department to department to try to look things up, you know, one of my questions would be, who's going to help with the build of each department? So if the fire department, for instance, has, you know, the way it is now, we click on, you know, town departments, go down, click on fire department, then it brings you to the fire department site. Who there is updating that stuff? You know, you might go to the parks department, and again, a lot of stuff isn't updated, names aren't updated. When new committee members come and go, old committee members are still on there and whatnot. Is that part of the package as well? I just would like to see it as a resident, as user-friendly as possible for the residents, so you can go in there, click, and get the information quickly, all kind of in like one spot, instead of really have to search around for things. And
Linda,
I think that if you guys all take a look at it, I think you guys resolve that stuff up front.
yeah, Linda, real quick, you were in the meeting, correct? There, what was the piece that he spoke about that was how all the forms are or you can, there's multiple ways to get to a town department, so you could be here in one point and all the other links are still there. The way that, and I can't really put words on it, something you'd have to see, but it was really slick the way that they had actually had this worked out. Linda?
I think what you might be referring to is there was like layers of different departments, and you could click a common topic, be it with the fire department and town hall. You could just click the question and take you to a number of different spaces or different pages with the same answer. It was the same answer no matter which page you were on. There was ways of integrating all different layers of the town hall, the town departments rather. And there was also people who should be named as the sort of the executives of the website, 2 or 3 people within the town hall who were responsible for doing basically everything, and we all would bring our stuff to those people because you're licensed for a certain number of people to have access.
Town manager.
Which is a good thing.
Town manager.
I know it always freaks Mr. Watson out when I say this, but I completely agree with him. And,
I've heard that 3 times,
and I can't say more strongly that to not do a requirements collection and a gap analysis before we buy, even if they've done it with 1 million municipalities, would be a bad idea because we'd be spending without planning. And I'm happy to be part of something, a couple people that collect those requirements if you want.
Sold.
Sign me up. Sign me up. Getting appointed, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Website committee. No, actually, I think that, you know what, check with Bill from Master Planning and the Master Planning Committee, because they may have already started this process. Thanks. All right. It is almost done. I'm sorry. Gene, am I holding you up? Oh, no. Sorry, it's written. It's at the end. I wasn't there.
It's been a long, hot day for both Liz and I.
Sorry. Discuss staffing the treasurer collector's office. Sorry. And then, Mr. McDonald, we're going to move right on to you right after that.
Hi. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you.
I wanted to bring you up to date real quickly on what we're doing with the positions. The last time I was here, I was charged basically with getting the article together so that we could advertise for the finance clerk's position, and we were trying to encompass maybe a couple of different functions within that job, or to make the job description at least loose enough so that we might be able to utilize some sharing of services within the town hall. Mike and I have been able to develop something good, but at the last moment, and because there's been a lot of input on this subject, I've come up with something that I want to run by you. It's basically the same, but as you know, Lois is gone. The finance clerk is officially gone.
Okay.
We anticipate that Joan will be retiring towards the end of July. No firm date yet, but this summer. And that position, the assistant treasurer collector position, is a position that I feel warrants special consideration. I need to make sure that the person who is
hired for that position has preferably a background in collections, but at least a solid financial background. It's not a job that you can sort of just step into and do. There's a lot of laws and consideration that needs to be made towards some regulations as far as collections go. Anyways, I've been concerned about the training of that person. I've had some serious concerns about how we're going to get a person trained adequately, because we don't have overlap, we don't have any money to train anybody. But I did find out that there is a mechanism whereby if I had some extra money in my budget from this year, I can bring that to the town meeting and have that money sort of rolled over or held till fiscal year 14. And so, given that, I ran some numbers, and I can make it work so that we can advertise for not only the clerk's position right now, but also the collector's position right now. And that will give me the month of July, 4 weeks of training, if we can hire a person, both of them, for July 1st on or about July 1st.
I'm sorry, so this came about since after
Yes.
7 o'clock last night when we were
Yes.
talking?
Yes. It
This
did.
all just came about?
It did. It did. It did. And so I've spent really the whole day working on this. But it goes hand in hand with what we were talking about last night. It's just that
Little bit.
it's almost beautiful in its simplicity, actually.
You're backfilling all your positions.
I'm keeping them filled, yeah.
You're keeping them filled, so
But
that's
what
not
I'm
exactly
doing-
what we talked about.
Well, no, I am buying myself.
It takes out any potential operational efficiencies you'd get out of KVS and all the things we talked about in terms of reducing data entry and hours required in the office. The potential, because we're going to backfill both positions.
I'm
just saying that's
No, I did not understand
Okay.
that we were anticipating reducing hours in the treasurer's office.
Well, no, reducing the hours needed in the office, potentially, right?
Potentially. And that,
Okay.
I mean, reducing the hours potentially in the treasurer's office doesn't help the training of the collector. And that was a situation, I mean, that was something that came up today, and I wasn't thinking about it initially, and it was a suggestion that was made to me a number of weeks ago, and I had put it to the side, because we have exactly enough money in our budget to finance Jones, or the collector's position, and the finance clerk's position at their current rates of pay. We have no more. And I knew that going into it. What I did not know was that there is a mechanism, if the town agrees, to take any leftover money from our budget this year, our salaries and wages, and roll it into next year. I did not know that, and that to me is beautiful, because it gives me training time for the collector.
I guess, can you just explain it a little bit better, because I'm missing it somehow. So you're saying we have exactly enough money to cover the positions that we have right now?
Correct.
Where are we getting the money to roll over?
From from a couple $1,000s that will be left over in my salaries and wages line item from fiscal year 13.
So that's just the extra.
So, rather than letting it roll free cash, we're reallocating it, right?
Richard's hand is.
I just want to say quickly, if every department did that, there'd be no free cash.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm sorry, but we need the free cash to cover the snow and ice deficit.
Okay.
So I've already kind of accounted for the places that we're going to end up with the next month.
Okay. Then,
So we need some training money.
which we knew that the training money was not going to be there. And
But how much do we need, do you think, for training?
Help me understand what training money means. That means having two people learning, having somebody shadow Joni, is what you're saying.
So, no, somebody shadow, I'm with you.
So we need to have an extra, I mean, it makes
But
sense,
Joni's already
right?
gone.
Jonah's not gone.
By the
Oh, sorry.
The finance clerk, Lois,
Lois
is gone.
Lois is gone. Okay, Joan is still in. Okay. Right.
Well,
Okay, so if we have, hold on, if we have two people, if we have somebody shadowing Joni for the month, for the next month, if we were to hire them on
In July, starting in July.
that,
You know, and if it's not, I thought that it would be a good idea, and which is why came to you right here, because this all came about today.
Yep.
If it's not a good idea, it's not a good idea, and I'm back to square one.
I just don't know if it's feasible. It's not
It
a
is
bad
feasible.
idea.
No, it's a great
It's
idea.
just a new idea. Well, it's a new idea. I'm not sure I'm going to great yet.
No, it's a great idea, because...
I might suggest hiring a full-time position and not backfill the municipal clerk right now, if you wanted to try to free up training dollars.
Yeah. That's been suggested to me by a couple of different people.
Yep.
And it's an inefficient use of money to just pay a person, the higher paid person, by the way, more money just so that they can be there for 8 more hours a day, or 8 more hours a week, rather,
No,
without being able to really, without overloading them. I mean, you can't,
I'm not suggesting they do 2 positions. What I'm
Right.
saying is prioritize which one you fill first. If you feel the collector's positions
Well-
of more value,
and
I might suggest not financial expertise, but accounting expertise is probably more specifically what we want to get into the collector's position.
Right. Well, and because the collector's position is the more, is the position that requires a little bit more expertise and more training,
Right.
then it became more important to fill that position first. And when the mechanism,
So your training money potentially comes from, if you stagger your hiring, right? If you can go longer without the clerk by leveraging, say, Jen's 9 hours and things like that, and whatever we're doing in that space, you potentially can bring a resource on to replace Joni, have them train, and when they feel there's a point where the training, at the end, you bring, leveraging the
the question
clerks.
is, who's training this new employee?
Joan.
But not without an overlap of money.
Sure, we don't fill the clerk's position at that. at
You're
that
using the
point.
clerk's salary to give yourself some training
But
dollars
the
for
clerk
30
is,
days.
but the finance clerk, okay, well, really,
I guess what we're
it's,
trying to do is...
I didn't mean to take you all off guard, that's not my point.
No, I
And so
know.
maybe I ought to just go back to the drawing board and just sort of rethink this.
I think it's a good discussion, because I think what we're saying, from my perspective, I would not recommend impacting potential free cash, because that's been part of the budget forecast next fiscal year. I mean, it's been right-sized to a degree where if there's any missteps next year, that's your safety net, right?
Yeah.
So, the question I'm thinking about is, how do we get your training dollars, right? Without impacting through another mechanism. That's what we're talking about right now.
Right. And there is probably some ways that there are other options, and I'm not prepared to talk about them right now, because I didn't go down that road. I didn't do that.
What was the answer last night?
We didn't really talk about this.
Oh.
We were talking about other things.
We were talking about a lot of things, and I was happy for the opportunity to talk about the treasurer's office with Mike a lot. I would invite all of the selectmen to come in and see the treasurer's office and see what we do. And maybe we'll have an open house. But, no, I thought this was a good idea. If it's not a good idea, that's okay. And I'll just go back to the...
I don't know that it's, again, like I said, I don't know that it's the end, that it's off the table. Let's discuss it, let's analyze it, and really take a look at it, but we gotta do it quickly.
True, and that's the problem, is that we're running out of time. And you can only, the clerk's position only provides so many dollars towards the collector's position.
No, I understand.
And I have to say, once again, I mean, I did not I am not going forward thinking that we're losing hours in the treasurer's office. If that's your intent, okay, but I kind of need to know that, because that's big.
You're not losing hours.
That's big.
If the work goes away, you don't need the hours. That's the only way hours get reduced. So right now, you have a very manual, data entry intensive process.
Right.
That just yesterday, we saw opportunities potentially if we can get the KVS Enterprise loaded, where there's a whole bunch of
This is
manual.
down the road stuff. This
But
isn't
this is
today.
These are ideas that could, we could actually use the current process in terms of, we have, all right, so we're doing data entry where we potentially don't need to do data entry current state. Loading and unloading of, Excel or text or CSV files. Right now, the way we do it is we do manual keying.
Okay.
We're producing reports off KVS, we're inputting reports into KVS. We're handing hard copy across departments. There's a potential.
Too, as far as I understand.
Right, so there's potential. That's what I'm saying is, what is a full-time job, and because it's manual, you potentially could gain efficiencies. So we're not taking hours out.
Right.
We're reducing workload, which reduces the need for hours. So there's no reduction in hours or attrition. I mean, it's attrition now, so the question is this the right time to focus there? That's the discussion Shane and I had yesterday.
And I had understood that to be something down the road, which is totally not off the table. But when it came to training, that's what came up today.
Right.
That was the situation that presented itself today. That was what I chased all day long. And that is, to me, very, very important, because,
So we got to solve for training of Joni's replacement.
yes, but at the same time, I was also going to advertise them both together. There was going to be some savings there. There's, the advertisement itself, there's the time that we could do just together, just do
I'd
everything.
say advertise them both together.
Well, you can advertise them both together. I mean, start dates can be picked at another time.
And that's why we said things like